Stephanie, if you would
Go.
be so
Wait.
kind.
Yes, go ahead, Ed.
Okay, we are starting almost on time, and it looks like everybody is here except Kurt, and maybe he'll join us in process. Anyway, thank you, everybody, for showing up tonight.
Thank you.
And also, I would have thanked Kurt out loud with him here for doing the meeting notes, but
He's coming on right now.
here he comes. Okay, he is connecting. Oh my goodness, he is truly here. Hello, Kurt.
Hey, how you doing? Sorry about that. My other PC is rebooting, so.
Okay, no problem. But we were just getting started, and I was about to thank you for doing the meeting notes. So has everyone had a chance to look at them? And if so, are you in agreement that we accept them?
I move we accept the notes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Nicely done. And Kurt, no, I won't ask you to take the minutes tonight on your final meeting. Actually, I have another task in mind for you, but we'll talk about that later. Jenya has agreed to take the notes tonight.
Hey.
So everyone wish her well, and I hope she has a big supply of pencils. Okay, that takes care of the meeting notes. Moving on right into the programming projects. Art, do you have any updates you'd like to give us on the coronavirus interviews?
Not, I personally, I do not, but I will say that I saw Jean's intro, 2.5 minutes. I thought it was superb. I thought it was absolutely excellent, very professional, very polished, with a good narrative by her. And I move we accept that as our standard intro to the to all of these videos that we do. It was certainly, an excellent, an excellent adjunct to that.
Did you? This is the one in which you used every clip that you had in your library, I believe.
Oh my, stock footage. They had a lot of COVID stuff, though, of course, because everybody needed that. So
yeah,
it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad.
No, I thought it was well put together, and I thought the flow was exactly what we were looking for in the way.
Stephanie
So,
wrote it, right?
Yep. So I think we should use that as our standard intro.
Do you have any concerns about its length?
I think I think each program is going to be a standalone program, and people are not going to be watching them back to back. So I thought, therefore, the length was appropriate for the programming.
Okay, then each program is probably going to end up 15, 20, 25 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so 2 minutes on the front is not a big deal.
That's right.
Okay, well, I would agree. I think it's very well done, and if everyone's okay with that, we'll put that in the front.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was great. My only concern, and I know you had the vaccine information, Jean.
Oh yeah.
And now that it's being
Dated.
distributed, it's. I mean, when you put it together a couple weeks ago, it was still kind of being fun. Now that it's accepted and ready to be distributed, should we tweak that a little bit, you think?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the vial, I like how you showed the vial. I mean, it looks like what they're showing on TV, So that would be my only thing, so that we're a little bit more current, that after months of waiting, vaccines are now beginning to be distributed or something.
So do you have any concerns that a month from now we'll feel that something else needs to be, is there anything else that needs to be made more evergreen, or whatever the correct term is?
Well, if you look at it, I think that's the only portion, at least I can recall, that has any, that could be considered dated.
Any time?
Yeah. The rest of it, I don't see that. And unless someone, picked up on a scene or two that, that said otherwise. But Now, failing that, I think the rest of the intro is just fine.
Okay. All right, so we're settled on that.
Okay.
All right. Jean, if you would be so kind as to send me the questions that you were going to send me. Jean and I have been talking about the interview that we've sort of teed up to do. And I need to look at the questions again to make sure it's something I think I can do. But anyway.
There's only 6 or 7 questions that are very basic, and you kind of flow from there.
Right. Okay. Is there anything else on this that anyone has?
No, except if anyone else has suggestions for people to interview, but no, I think we can move on.
Yeah, the Delaware Valley University is they've agreed to do it. I have to find where all the letters that were sent and stuff like that
Okay.
in his files. If anyone has a copy that we can use, that would be great.
It would be in Andrea's computer. That's.
Yeah, I have to go find it and see where she put that, but
I don't have a copy.
I emailed with Terry Jackson, who's the university president's chief of staff, and she said, yeah, I think they'd be willing to do it.
Good.
I just need someone to, who put her in touch with somebody to conduct the interview.
I'll do the dive on my computer to see whether I can come up with the letters or not.
I have to go in there tomorrow and upload 2 videos, so I'll look for it as well.
Okay.
But I would send that over to Terry, and then who can I introduce that would want to interview Terry or the president at Delaware?
What's the time frame for getting that done?
Whenever you want to get it done.
Okay. I'd be willing to do it after the first of the year.
Okay, I can let her know that.
Okay.
All right, good. So that's yet another dimension to go in. Okay, that's all on that item. We can move on to the Bucks County Virtual Senior Expo. I have that listed as a report because it's actually happened. The expo was held last week on Thursday. There were Matt Weintraub was there as the DA, and there were 4 other county people who work with the county, some officials, some not. But they put on about a 32-minute program.
Yeah.
In the meeting room, and Jean has received the video at this point and has edited it. And I sent a link out to all of you, I think a couple hours before tonight's meeting. I'm sure you haven't had a chance to look at it yet.
I watched the first 5 minutes or so, 10 minutes, and then just skipped through the rest of it. I liked it. I thought it was very good. I liked the split screen effect, and the graphics I thought were good. I think Jane found some new graphics for the beginning. The drawn curtain part I thought was nice.
Actually, that's a standard Microsoft PowerPoint deal. I built that slide sequence out of the flyer that the county had put together, and I was going through the animation stuff that PowerPoint has, and there's this damn thing with the curtains that open. It was just unbelievable. So I couldn't resist. And
that was really cool. I liked it. But I thought the information was very good from what I saw. I thought the production values were also excellent. I need to go through the entire thing for informational, but I thought the way it was put together was interesting, and people would stay and watch the entire thing.
Yeah, it covers a fair amount of ground, but it really boils down to these are the kinds of things we do, and here's how you get in touch with us.
Yeah,
I mean, that seemed to be the theme that happened. Did anyone else get a chance to look at it? No.
I did. I thought it was very well done.
Good.
So, in terms of logging these, I mean, Are people going to have an opportunity to see the whole thing rather than the little, I mean, often? I mean, I liked watching the whole thing because they sort of,
Well, they thread together,
they
and
thread together, and if you're a senior and you can just get all the information.
we only the rest of the folks don't know this, but there's one long one, which is 32 minutes. And there's 4 short ones, which are each of the 4 sections. And we built that from the long one, basically because each of the individual departments wanted to have one that they could use for just themselves.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so the district attorney would have one, and the area agency would have another. But they'll all have access to all 5 of the videos.
Mhm.
We're at the point now where Jean has finished the editing. We've got the 5 pieces done. And now I'm going to have to get some thumb drives and copy them up and send them off to the county. I'm actually to Mike Bannon, believe he is the contact. Well, I would think the intention for us, for the township, would be to use the long one.
Okay.
Put it in the schedule. I think it does flow one from the other. I like the way he refers to previous sections. Oh, I forgot to say this. So it doesn't totally stand on its own, it seems to me, in 4 individual sections.
I like the split screen.
Well, let me tell you, but yeah,
Yeah.
I wanted to focus on 2 of the technical aspects just for a second. The split screen is something that an operator who came in to help to put on the candidate debate that went on in the meeting room built inside our TriCaster. It's one of 8 million different effects you can make in that machine, and he built a template. And he left it behind. And in a candidate debate, you have a candidate on one side, a candidate on the other,
Yeah.
looking at one another. It's a very kind of a standard format in that setting. It uses 2 cameras, and it allows you to have a close-up in each of those 2 cameras, even if there's space between the people, and then you can bring them together. So that picture frame arrangement is sitting in our mix/effect area of the TriCaster, and it's just sitting there. So we hooked it up to the 2 cameras that were used for this thing, and then the person operating the cameras had to get everything kind of the right size, but it really worked. It worked extremely well. The one thing I learned out of it is don't try to configure that during a live recording, because it blew one of the other cameras away. Now, there was one shot you only see once in the whole thing, and that's where the wide shot where the 2 people are sitting at opposite ends of the dais. You only saw that once because that camera got fried in the process of configuring the split screen. So we used a split screen from there out, and it was absolutely terrific. So
Yeah.
we're going to try to use that going forward in supervisor meetings if the people sit still enough, and if we can work the cameras appropriately to make that happen. The second thing I would point out to you, and maybe this you wouldn't notice as much, but we had the audio system tuned up 2 days before that. The technicians from AVT came in and did any number of things. I'll talk about some of them later, but one of the things they did was to do all kinds of adjustments, particularly on the dais microphones. And they are performing much, much better than they were before. The levels are better. They're not clipping, they're not fading in and out. So the sound, I thought, also was pretty good.
Yeah.
On that. So I'm very pleased with the way that came out, and Jean was a big help fixing up some errors we had. We had a name spelled wrong, and that got fixed, and things of that sort. But I think we're now about ready to let that thing go and get it on the air for us and get it off to the county individuals who then can put it on their website, et cetera. We'll also put it up on our website. So that project turned out to be quite useful to us. I mean, particularly having an opportunity to try that split screen.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else have any, does anybody have any questions on any of that? Or
No.
shall we move on? The next thing that's on your chamber chat video is sitting in my basket of things to do. I haven't gotten back in touch with Vale Garvin to work that. So I don't have anything to report at this point. Assuming she's still speaking to me, we'll have to find that out. School district contract, I think that was Nancy was doing that, wasn't she?
Yeah, I think, well, if it's Max who did the videos, I'm still waiting on him to complete. I think he probably got waylaid with some of the other, she said that he had gotten the opportunity to do some video for some of the sports teams in the fall. So I have not seen a final version of what he did on September 12th. So, and I've followed up and asked him, he asked for some names, I gave them to him and I haven't seen anything since. So I have to see where he is on all that.
Okay. All right. And the last item in the programming area is whether anybody had come up with any new ideas or suggestions for 2021. We're going into a new year. And I guess it's time to think of what else we may want to do next year. We haven't heard back from the parks people after their visit last month, so I don't have anything to put on for that. But
Yeah, you followed up with them and gave them some information, I recall, that they had asked for.
I believe
And I think they probably need the most, assistance, if you will. I think you guys could be very beneficial to them going forward. And certainly as we move through the feasibility and eventual architectural design for the Park Rec Community Building Center, which
Right.
is proposed. So I think, as we get more and more information in public meetings and things like that, hopefully you'll be able to, participate and share, maybe make some videos of some of those things.
Okay. I think, but we're waiting for them to come back and tell us what their top 3 things to do are, I think is according the way it was left last month.
Mm-hmm.
To get their priorities kind of together and then we would start working from there. That, I believe that was your advice, Art?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anybody have anything they want to add in the programming side, or shall we just keep chugging along?
Nothing further, at least from me at this point.
Okay.
Is there any other topic that we could cover the way you did the senior expo because it's hard. I mean, that worked better than doing Zoom videos in a time when we're supposed to be social distancing and stuff. It just, if there could be one type of spokesperson who could be there and be the mat person, and then the different people that would speak on whatever the general topic was. That would be a way to keep us going, I think.
The county is the one that approached us with this. Is that right, Stephanie?
Yes, the county did approach us. They do a senior expo every year, I think, at the senior centers. And obviously because of COVID, they were unable to do that this year.
Yeah.
So they came up with this, and I believe they did one down in the lower end of the county. This was central, and they were doing another one someplace else. So
like every 3-4 months or so, they're doing one somewhere. If I got it right from them. I agree with you, Gene, that's a pretty good use of our facility. And it's pretty easy for us to set it up and operate it. I mean, I think we spent the hour before they came in to do what needed to be done. Well, there's a little more than that. You send me your literature, send me the originals, so I could make up the slides. But beyond that, the setup was a piece of cake. So yeah, I would like to take advantage of that. I mean, one of the things we could go back to is the Who We Are and What We Do series, which we haven't done any of for quite a few years. With committee, other boards and commissions, and Stephanie was the moderator. And we set up a table in the old meeting room, and we could certainly do something very similar to that in the current meeting room. And we can, but we gotta get some other groups, some groups that might need to get messages out for that to be the case. Well,
We can think about it.
I think we should think about it, and if obviously we would be open if other groups come in asking you, Stephanie, looking for stuff like that. I guess we could.
What is going on with Doylestown Health? Aren't they supposed to in January switch to this format versus the walk with a doc? And I don't know, because of the COVID respiked, whether or not they're going to sort of rethink that programming. And Jenya, just so you know, we when another member was on the committee, he would go to the Doylestown Health and they would do what they called a walk with a doc, and we would film it. And a doc would talk about, healthy living or something along those lines, heart healthy eating, whatever. And then they would go for a walk. Okay. And he would film that talk. And because of COVID, they stopped doing that, obviously bringing people in and everything. And then they approached us in late summer, I think, Ed?
Sounds right.
Yeah, late summer, early fall, saying, hey, could we come and use your, could you film something similar to that, what we did with the county, and have a doc come in and sort of do the talk without the walk, sort of thing. And I'm not sure where we left things,
Yeah, I'm not either. I mean, I vaguely remember the meeting as that there was a young person speaking with a mask on. I was getting about every 15th.
No, I know. They said they would start it in January. I mean, I can follow up with her.
Yeah, I think we should
email and see if they're still on. I'm just worried that with everything going on, I don't know if the doctors really want to be, they got work to do. They don't need to be, doing some chit chat on,
right,
because they're so focused on the situation.
Well, we have a bunch of people that we have names from that meeting. So, and I have them in my notebook somewhere. So why don't I get together with you tomorrow and we can figure out who to follow up with. But yeah, that should be, if they're still doing it, that should be coming to fruition.
Yeah, we said January. They wanted to do it in January.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me write that down. Doylestown Health. Okay, good. All right. Anything else on programming? Anybody? Well, in that case, I guess we're up to the point with social media. Now, would you like me to put that stuff up on the screen, Stephanie?
Feel free. I gave it to you and you sent it out to everybody, but I think it's pretty clear as, we're definitely progressing with our social media in terms of Twitter and Facebook. This is the township, the numbers and everything. So, and I asked I got the analytics off the Hootsuite feed and did it for a month just to see how we're doing.
So this is Facebook.
Yeah. So you see we had, pretty much almost like a post a day. and 4.3 thousand fans, 128 engagements, 108 clicks. So, and you kind of see from the other patterns, you see this kind of up and down situation where, you're getting information and the fan, so I mean, I think the key is that, when I look back, we are growing in, I like to say followers, but fans in this case, we're growing. I mean, we went from like 2,000 to 3,000, now we're over 4,000. And I mean, should we have more? Probably, but I think it's that we're reaching, and I think we just want to try to continue to keep it growing.
Mhm.
And
What does this curve at the bottom tell us? I mean, this is the one with 4,300.
yeah, I think it
And
just shows
it's
that we're,
tailing off now as we get into early December.
yeah. So, I mean, that could be, they're not, following. I mean, there isn't anything,
Because you were
picking up.
putting stuff out at about that time. Here's a
Oh,
big
yeah,
up here.
I know. So, I mean, I don't know, maybe Jenya has a better idea of what all this means. But I mean, for what I'm seeing is, it seems like we're engaging more. I think the engagements, definitely getting, and we're putting a lot of information about the COVID and about the rules and, accidents and things like that. As to, when we get comments and, traffic kind of seems to be, I think we're up. I see everything is just improving day, kind of day by day.
Good.
I can't say as I know what I'm looking at, but
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
all right, this is the next page of it.
Yeah. I think that's,
Yeah.
information we're and resharing and stuff like that on our Facebook from other Facebook feeds as well. Nancy's coming in now.
Okay, and if we go to Twitter,
Yeah. Again, followers are up and, the engagements are up and the clicks and the, are up and everything. So for the same period.
this one shows a definite
Up.
growth up.
Mhm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Do you have a new Andrea?
Starting on the 21st, I will.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Here we have more negatives than we had in the other one.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure what any of that means.
I've been trying to understand. I think that may be the way it interprets the sentiment of the message itself. It looks like the 30th of November on Twitter looks like it's tornado warning.
Yeah,
No, that was back in August. But we did.
well,
have a-
no, right
yeah,
here,
yeah.
there's a warning from
Yeah,
Montgomeryville.
yeah. So it was okay.
Here
So
it
what
is
you're
here.
saying is that the message was not a positive message, but something, or the car accident. When we retweet the Twitter stuff that comes from Crime Watch and stuff like that. I mean, those are all about accidents and stuff like that. So I guess it's
Okay,
okay.
anyone have any questions on this?
No.
Thanks, Ed.
Okay. We'll go back to the other side. Hello, Nancy.
Hi there, sorry, I'm joining a little late. Just got out of another meeting.
It's a meeting world, isn't it?
Too much.
Okay, let's see, where are we? So that's social media.
New building.
Let's go backwards just a bit. Is there anything, Nancy said, we did go through all the programming projects, but we didn't spend in much time on the school district contact. Stephanie filled us in on where the student max is on doing things. Is there anything you want to add on the school district that, or anything
Yes.
you'd like to say
Yeah.
about it?
I do have a couple things. I talked with Angela Lynch. She reached out to the coordinator for all of the music because I had asked her about all the different concerts since they're doing everything online. I said that would be a wonderful addition to our programming. So he liked the idea. So I think they're checking on the rights and with the legal. So if we can have access to them, she's going to let us know. So
Okay.
that might be a wonderful addition. So my fingers are crossed for that.
Are they already recording them?
Yeah, they're going to be recording them because they're going to show them. They're going to show them on their showing. They're going to show them live through the district.
So this just be another outlet for
It
them.
would just be another outlet, right? So it's just a matter whether there's
Good.
filming and yeah, so that might be, and hopefully that's something we can use in the future that can be a continual thing. So in terms of the plays, there's a lot of copyright issues. So unless we can like get someone to approve us, that they only can show them on their own channel for like a week and then they're not allowed to show them anymore. So that was the other issue. And the asking to interview someone, it's just not really good timing right now. They just have a lot happening. And so I just think the timing isn't there. And there's a lot of mixed, I mean, the kids that are there all day, I think are doing the best. I think the kids that are doing hybrid, there's mixed things. So I don't know if they want to bring themselves into the spotlight right now. So
Yeah.
understandably, and honestly, they don't know day by day. So by the time we record it, it could be something different. So,
Well, I think the concerts are a step forward. So let's just see where that takes us.
I'm hoping it sets a precedent for future because there really is incredible talent. So that would be really amazing. So we'll see.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for that.
Mhm.
We can fill you in later on the senior expo that we did for the county. That actually you got an email with a link, so you can see what that's about. But that turned out really well. Okay, we're up to the new building system operations part. I did send you all a memo. This is actually a rewrite of one I did 10 years ago. Back when Kurt was the chairman and we had to write memos to do things. It was a very interesting time. Anyway, we've come to the end of the year. We have a fair amount of our budget left. And we do have a couple of short-term needs that I think would be well taken care of with a few small purchases. The podium we used in the old building is the same podium we're using in a new building, though we have a coat of paint on it now, so it looks a little fresh. But the use of the microphones is so much more critical in the new room that the old ones are just too short. People can't get close enough to them. So we're wasting a desktop microphone on the podium. It takes up space for people's papers. So I want to go out and purchase an 18-inch version of the 12-inch ones we already have, and then repurpose the 12-inch ones to go on floor stands. And that's what this basically boils down to. One 18-inch and a bunch of adapters that enable you to take the 12-inchers and use them elsewhere in our setup. So if you guys are in agreement, I would like to get these things on order within this budget year and get rolling on that.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
I think you might want to consider getting the next size up on the 18 inchers.
That's the longest they come. If I wanted anything longer than that, I'd have to use a I don't even know what you call it. A stand and then an arm and then something off an arm. But the 18 inches will do there because an 18-inch desktop model works and people can get close enough to it. So I think we're okay with that, with this. Anyway, I'll look at it again.
I think the bottom line is you have our support to do that at 18-inch.
Thank you.
Judgment.
So you guys are okay if we go ahead and do this?
Yes.
Yep.
At the end of the year, we should still have some money left over. We still have a bank account that we're accumulating stuff in, and that would take the bank account to about $6,900. And just so you know what's going through my fevered brain on the bank account, those of you who had a chance to look at the video from the senior expo saw that we came in a lot closer on the people and had single person shots. And it made the video far more interesting than what we've been doing in our current setup, which is they're basically 2-person shots. We're too far back to really see people's faces very well. So I'd like to get us in a position where we could deploy single person shots practically within the within the Board of Supervisors environment. And to do that, I have in the back of my mind that I'm going to take one of the 2 movable cameras that's on the front wall, which looks backwards, and move it to the back wall, and then add 2 fixed cameras that give me a broad shot forward and a broad shot looking back, something that we just go to. And when you want the wide shot, you push the button with front or back, and that would give me more front looking movable cameras, which should probably do the trick to give us enough flexibility to move from person. I would have at least 5 movable cameras that I can move through the 12 positions that are seating positions that are at the dais. And the way the meeting plays out, I think we could make that work. And then perhaps use that side-by-side framing that you saw in the senior video to get people talking to one another in those window boxes. It's excellent. But we would need to have the cameras be more, we bring them in on people and then be able to stop and kind of lock them there. From what we do now is we move them too much for that to be practical. So that's at the back of my head. There's a couple of cameras and
That's
a little
great.
wiring, but it's and the fixed cameras are less expensive than the movable ones, and I'm repurposing the movable one we have. So we might be able for $1,600 pull this off. That's kind of what I'm thinking about for next year, getting my head into next year.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's the spending part. So thank you for the agreement, and I will take care of that. As far as the intermittent audio on Comcast, it is fixed. They changed out the encoder, I think just before our previous tab meeting. And we have not had an equipment failure since then. We've had an Ed Ebenbach induced failure where I managed to push on something and the audio stopped. But other than that, the audio has not cut out at all. So I think that problem is solved.
Okay.
Third, we talked about a project to expand our audio control panel so that we could control the in-room volumes as well as what we call the production volumes, the volumes that go out for broadcast. That project has been completed. The panel's installed and operational. and it works. It works really slick. It's pretty. It was part and parcel of that activity that the AVT people came in and put that software in, but at the same time they upgraded the firmware in a number of our pieces of equipment, and they tuned up the audio system, particularly the DAIS microphones that I was talking about earlier. And I think the audio system is now performing a lot better than it was before. So that project is finished. They've billed us, and they'll get paid in a couple of weeks for that. It was a very good collaboration. They got their heads really into it.
Good.
So now there's one item that's not on here. The remediation project for the room itself. That's something we've been trying to get to for most of this year without a lot of success. But Dave Tomko and I have it clearly in mind as something we're going to tackle in the early part of 2021. I might say to you that part of the problem here is the size of what has to be done, and the requirement that it, because of the size of it, dollar-wise, it falls. We have to be very careful to follow a proper public procurement process. If we were in a private industry, we would have gone out, we would have found the person we think could do the job, we would have hired them, and it would have been done. But this is something where you have to bring somebody in, and at a price level so let's say this got as high as $21,000, you have to go through a procurement process with multiple vendors. And you have to make sure that everybody has all the same information. And part of the problem here is that we don't really have an engineering specification, at least not yet. So we have to create a request for proposals, which Dave and I have been trying to get done for some time now. But we have kind of a plan to go to either Penn Bid or Sourcewell and see if there's one that's out there already. We have not found it yet. And if not, we do know kind of what we need to get done. At the point that we can write it down, which we aim to have done by the end of January, we are going to invite vendors in to ask us questions about the RFP, and we're going to show them the engineering report that we got that tells us what's wrong with the room. We have to invite them in because they have to see and hear the room in order to have any idea what we're talking about. And then we're going to ask them to give us proposals by the end of February so that we can decide, are we going to buy material and install it ourselves, or are we going to do a whole turnkey where they supply the material and install it? And we have to do it in a period when the room is not in huge use. April is a month where there's only one Board of Supervisors meeting, so that gives us a 30-day window normally that we can, because we're going to have to put this stuff in. We have to take the stuff that's on the walls off. We put the material up, and we have to build out the heating vents. We have to pull out, but there's lighting fixtures will have to come out. There's a number of things that'll have to be done. So the room has to be a period of time when the room is not in public use, let's say, so that we can take it out of commission and rebuild it. So April is probably the month when we can really do this, the first month. Anyway, the key is getting some form of a specification together and then inviting the relevant vendors in. And that's something we hope to do in the early part of February.
Thank you, Ed. I appreciate it. I just know with the talk of the Park and Rec center and potential meetings, whether they're on Zoom or wherever we are with everything. I know when we had our planning meeting, we brought people in, it was really hard to hear. That's what made me remember, because I know you're working on that. You're like an octopus, your hands are everywhere. So I appreciate you on
Well,
the update. I appreciate that update.
but this one is more complicated than some things. I mean, as I say, if this was a $5,000 project,
Right.
we could easily do it. If it was a $50,000 project, we'd hire an engineering firm to write the specs. But this is in between, and we're not really sure where it's going to end up, because we can't just call in a vendor and ask them questions. We'd have to call in 3 vendors and ask them the same questions. It's because it's a public procurement. So that really is crimping our style. Let's just put it that way. And that's why we have been unable to make progress, particularly as the budget heated up. There was no way anybody had time to focus on getting this done. But we will, in the first part of the year, we will get rolling on this.
Appreciate that.
Okay, so that's the story with the building itself. Anyone have any operating questions? Nope. Yes.
I have one, and I apologize for coming late to the meeting. As we're talking about plans for 21, I don't know if you've ever discussed it within TAB, but I was thinking about when Park and Rec came, when Paul and Kevin came to talk about learning about the social media piece of things. Is there like a document that we could share with the other committees? I mean, my sense being now a year in is that the committees sort of need to want to be able to connect with other committees. Like, EAC does a really good job advertising. So I remember the early discussions were not to do their videos, but I think they need some guidelines. Like when Art's like, listen, you need to, put your marketing calendar together, and you start, 2 months in advance, and you start, and I don't know, maybe there's some just specs that, you can just do something on, I don't know, Stephanie, you'll tell me, like on Word, and we'll just put it on our website for you, or, because I'm not looking to try and put more on the Andrea spot plate, but let them know what the specs look like, and just sort of how to, if you want to have a marketing plan for an event or something that you want to showcase, here's the different types of social media that we have. And I think Jenya probably has a good sense of the psychology of it all, of how to use it. I definitely don't, other than I'm hearing it in different meetings. How do I promote the dog park or bike and hike, or, the parks or whatever. So I don't know if there's something we could provide them, if that makes sense. And maybe that would give them a working document that they could go, okay, I got it.
Well,
And I don't know if it's that simple either. So
I am sure we do not have an off-the-shelf, here's how you market an event document. It doesn't exist within TAB, I can tell you that.
right. Well, and it might just be, here's the social media, here's how you can create a digital presence. Facebook reaches this, Instagram, or when you do it on Twitter, it also goes on to Facebook and vice versa, or Instagram, right? I know there's like,
Oh, yeah.
I don't have to be dangerous, but
Yeah.
I think it'd be helpful for them to know, because I think there's people like me who know enough to be dangerous to know it exists, and there's different ways to put a digital media plan together, and they're all sort of hedging and talking about it. So didn't know if that made sense. I don't know if Jenya has thoughts, since that was sort of your expertise too.
I don't know that there's like one particular thing that we can pass along. I think the way we started talking about it in the last meeting was like good to see what their priorities were and what they were trying to accomplish. And I think we just need to have a little bit more of those conversations in order to be able to point them in the right direction. Just say like, this is where your platform is. This is what you need to be focusing on, because it's not like I don't know, you should just start projects everywhere just because that they exist. So I don't know. We had just talked about their they still need to get back to us with kind of like what their main 3 priorities are. And I think once we have that, it might be a little bit easier to move forward.
Yeah,
Could it
perhaps
be-
having that as a case study would be
Right.
useful.
Right, and maybe it's
Yeah.
something really small, like if you want to market an event, start 2 months in advance. These are the 4, it could be, when it's almost like it's, what is it? Social media for dummies, like, right? It's more like, here's the 4 platforms. We start out, you should, give yourself a certain amount of time. You can create just a picture with the information. I don't know. It has to be these particular specs. I mean, I don't know. Not everybody has access to certain software to create things. I think that's where people start to panic too. So, and maybe that's the issue, is you do that and then they give it and we can't use it. Then Stephanie and the new Andrea are trying to fix it, and that's no fun either. So I'm not trying to create work. I was just trying to figure out if anyone has any ideas how to help these committees, because I think that's what they're trying to figure out. And I don't want it to go on to the new Andrea either.
Yeah, and Aaron. And
Aaron, okay.
so, yeah, and so I think one of the things is that Keith, who used to be on TAB, went to all of the committees and offered what they could do and how they could help if they wanted to create videos for their events, or if they were doing something, or to tell about what's going on. Most of it's going to fall and then it falls to either myself or the special projects coordinator position or Parks and Recreation director and staff. That it's the EAC, it's Park and Recreation, it's the TAB coming up with something unique. But Bike and Hike, I mean, those are the committees that are kind of doing events that want to promote something and either have video or have a social media presence. And we've shared with them a number of times as to the avenues available, as to what we have through Hootsuite, whether it's Twitter or Facebook or whatever, that it's there. But I think like we've all been talking, they need to take a step back and figure out, Karen works on, half a year ahead of time.
Exactly.
When we did Oktoberfest, it wasn't like, oh, it's September, let's throw an event for, thousands of people to come to the park. No, we were like, okay, we're working now for a year from now. And that's how Park and Recreation works, from Karen's standpoint. I know you have an event in mind that you've shared, and let's not wait till May to go, oh, we're going to have a huge event with possibly thousands of people showing up in the park in June.
Exactly.
We need to start talking in January of, is June the best time? Is September the best time? I mean, we're already, we hit the ground running in January. Let's take the township golf outing, for example. We're going to hit the ground running in January, trying to get to sponsors and putting, the brochures together. And we've already talked, because of COVID and everything, about moving. Usually it's the first Monday in January. We're going to look to move it to August, because we think more people will have, received vaccines and things like that, and will be in better shape. So we're already planning like something from, it's not even January, and we're already, Karen and I and are in the chair for the golf outing, already talking about an August event, and that will be promoed, probably starting in March, and going all the way till the event occurs.
Right. And I'm talking very philosophical. I just didn't know, because there's like the Park and Rec Committee, there's a lot of new people. Is there some guidance? And it can be very, very general, but they're sort of struggling. I guess that was my.
Well,
I was just trying to figure
I
that
think the
out.
problem, everything is so amorphous. I mean, we don't know what they want. I don't think there's anything that could be put down generally as a guideline, other than some, common sense rules that they need to follow. If they're going to have an event, I think it's up to them to figure out what it is and when they want to do it. To come up with something specific for them, we need to know what they're specifically asking to do.
Right.
And I think that's where, when a former member suggested to go around to the committees and speak to them, that's what that was about. Maybe that's,
That's been tried, and that's been tried 2 or 3 different times. We had a cycle of talking to other committees, and it frankly went nowhere.
Okay,
yeah,
so
so there's,
It didn't work.
so I don't think there's any guidelines which are so broad that would be helpful. Let me put it to you that way.
We have a bunch of stuff we've done which are more narrow gauge in effect. Like, how do you, if you're going to go do a video shoot, what should you do? Take the camera, bring a flashlight, drink water ahead of time. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of stuff that you should do. And when you're there, just make sure you have extra batteries, things of that sort. And how to frame a picture. But it's narrow gauge as opposed to, let's step back and let's say, how would you approach something? And I know we do not have such a document available. So if we were to create it, I mean, I don't know that we've thought of ourselves as the marketing arm of the township.
so
We're sort of an advice at the advice side, but I don't see us as the marketing execution side of the township.
and I'm totally
If we're
good
going
with
to help,
it.
if we're going to help a committee to do something, and we can kind of generalize as we go, we could maybe create such a document. But I would want to do it, since it doesn't exist now. I don't know how to write it generically. I think we would need to pick an example and then try to write something as we were doing it, as we think about it as we're doing it. What are we doing? Well, we're anticipating 4 weeks ahead of time that you want to start talking to the audience. 2 weeks ahead of time you want to do this or do that. But I don't know that until we got ourselves in a project, I don't know we'd be in a position to write the general rules down.
Yeah, I think because this thing is so broad, the topic is so broad, it's really hard to know which direction to take someone in, because it depends upon what they're looking to do. And maybe the best way is like to reach out for the committee and ask a question. That's
Maybe we have to do what we did with you, Art. I mean, we got you to be on the bicentennial committee. Then you became the chair, and then we had a spy inside the bicentennial group that told us.
I wasn't the spy. I was the captain of the damn ship. So there's a big difference.
You were a spy captain.
That's right. But no, but the whole thing is that maybe to invite someone into to come in and talk to them and figure out what they want to do. That's the best way.
Yeah, I think the thing with going back to the bicentennial, that whole year, I mean, we spent all of 2017 preparing event after event, whether it was the gala that kicked off in January, whether it was a speaker that the EAC had, whether it was the 10 days or the tree event, the planting, whether it was, the float that was made, or the, tea party that we had at the garden. I mean, there was just, the time capsule, there was event after event after event. I mean, almost every month we had something going on, the sing along. And the one thing is that someone from TAB knew when the event was. We did commercials like a month out of every event. And we got better at it as we went along. And we, promoted those commercials not only on the website and the TV channel, but also through our social media. And then someone from the committee, TAB, was at most of those events and took some sort of video, and we strung it together as a post-event thing that, I mean, and it all ended up as sort of how we spent our 200th anniversary celebrating, and it all ended up in the time capsule. So, I mean, that was, I think, an entire kind of combination of what you're talking about. Utilizing TAB, utilizing the committees, utilizing social media, and videos, and it all kind of came together.
Maybe maybe they just want to go and if they're looking for something to look at, maybe just look at the minutes of the bicentennial committee. You know,
So-
on how things were
Mhm.
approached. That might be helpful.
So is it
Yeah,
fair
that
to
might be.
say there's events and then there's just information that they're trying to get out? I mean, there's, maybe they want to do something informational. I know there was, when I first joined TAB, they were trying to do a video of the dog park. I'm using that as an example. So there's informational stuff that's just ongoing, showcasing something in the township. And then there's events. But I guess I think I would say to any of the supervisors, and please help me with the wording, would be, TAB is aware that committees are interested and we'd invite them to our meetings if they'd want to talk about it, and we could help try and give them guidance.
Oh,
Is that
absolutely.
good?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. But,
Yeah, I just want to
That's-
show them that we're welcoming, where it goes from there. You saw, I think Paul and Kevin they're still trying to figure it out. Because I don't think they really know. They just think there's like this magic digital media presence thing that happens, right?
Right, and I think that
I just know my hands are really gone.
you're gonna have, 50,000 people. And I mean, Nancy, you've brought up a number of times to me, do you have the capacity? I mean, it's great that you want to reach 50,000 people, but can we accommodate 50,000 people, quote unquote, in the park for XYZ? And you and I both know that we can't,
Well,
probably 7,000 is our max.
yeah, exactly.
So we have to be careful of what we kind of hope to achieve, unless you're doing it over like a several day event like Oktoberfest was.
Right.
Then
And that's the other piece that they need to understand it too. There's with this magical digital media that we have to be mindful of what we can, and I'll have that conversation, I think, with the supervisors of what our staff and what our facilities and
volunteers can do.
and volunteers can handle, because
Yeah.
yeah, so
So
Absolutely.
in a way, what you're asking for strikes me as you're asking what is the marketing plan for the activities of the township for 2021. We got all these committees and we have a number of events that are going to occur. We have numbers of things that are going to go on during the year. What are the 10, 12, 15 things that are going to happen in the township in the course of 2021 that the township wants to communicate to the outside world, to advertise, to market? Because we obviously can't market everything.
right.
If we have to, what's our message? What's the most important stuff we want to do? And maybe it has to kind of start there. What are the things that need to be emphasized in 2021 in communications to the public? What are those? Write those things down. Now, how do we do it? Kind of work backwards from a list of what are our communications priorities?
I
And
mean, that's the fundamental. I agree, Ed. And I think I'm probably blurring the line with TAB and marketing and digital presence. And that's where I'm trying to be. I'm trying to just understand that. So, because I hear them talk, I don't think they understand. And, maybe there's things that they can do. I don't think they really understand. I don't know. I just was trying to figure out something concrete I
Well,
could
if
share.
it-
The
that's why the
supervisors.
bicentennial was an organizing, it had a piece of organizing logic to it. It had multiple events. It was all in one, most of it in one year. And so we could all get our heads around and into the rhythm of, bump, there's this, then there's this, then there's this, and there's this. And we just got into a rhythm of, got to have an ad, you got to have a brochure, you got to do this, got to have video at the event. And then you have to put the story together afterwards of what actually happened. I mean, but it all started from the beginning of, here is a year-long series of events that need to be communicated. And it started with a big idea.
Right.
And I think that's maybe what's lacking here
Yeah.
in getting us going down the path you're talking about.
And Karen has her calendar and does her thing. So if they want to do things, it really should be coming to Karen and Stephanie and possibly Aaron to make sure that it's not being duplicated, or if they want to enhance it, how can they enhance the message?
Right.
I would assume there's probably some of that too.
Mhm. Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And I think, they've not necessarily, in my mind, taken advantage of putting something together where Tab could assist them in making a video. I mean, Bike and Hike, we did a whole series and Jean's used clippings and stuff like that for the Step into September event. And the committee went out and gathered photos and, we fed a message of what it was about and, put Jean, a minute, 2-minute video together to promo the event. And it was wonderful. I mean, there was no doubt about it. It works. And I think that would be nice. And before you got on the call, Nancy, I had said to the committee, as we get into the planning for the Park Rec open space, building, in the community building, there's going to be public meetings and things like that. We're going to want to, promo that information or take those videos and make sure that people, it's aware. I mean, the last thing you want is, what's the construction going on the backside of Central Park, and how did you miss a year-long worth of information, kind of thing, so.
Agreed. It's more philosophical, and also, like you said, also exactly what Stephanie said, is that we have to be mindful of what our resources are and what we can actually handle. Because I think I had asked someone in Park and Rec, and they were like, I go, who are you marketing? Is it our local constituents? Is it like the neighboring counties? And they're like, everybody. I'm like,
I think if it's helpful, Nancy and committee, I could start putting together like just a document of like questions that maybe they need to think about, and then we can add to it, or I don't know. It's just like for them to be able to organize what their mission is, what they're trying to communicate, and then from there you can address any events that you're planning around this scope of information that you're trying to distribute, what your audience is like, what platforms we might be able to help them with. And even if it comes to video, like there's different, I don't know, you guys all know this, like there's different versions of video that match to different platforms and how they're distributed and the audiences that we're trying to match. Exactly. But it starts with like, I guess what their mission is, what they're envisioning, what their like specific like goals are for the month or for the quarter or whatever. And I don't know, I think if we just start with questions and have them start thinking about it that way, maybe that'll get us somewhere. I don't know.
Why don't we start with those questions?
Yeah.
I think if we could discuss what the questions are, that might help to focus where we go next with this. I mean, we could discuss the questions if you could put something together for, let's say, our next meeting or 2 meetings from now, then what we could have a discussion on it first. Does this seem sensible? Does this seem like the right way to tackle this? I would think that might be a good way to get started.
Yeah,
I mean,
probably.
I think that's great, because then we could have, I think especially with Park and Rec, they're really looking to do something. So I think it would, if the committee can put something together, and then maybe Jenya could, I hate to make you go to another meeting, but maybe you could attend and walk them through the questions that Tab put together. And, I think that could be really helpful because, I mean, Nancy, I'll be honest, I think a lot of the committees, when Tab comes with the camera, people tend to like, shy away from like, don't put me in front of the camera kind of thing.
Right.
And they don't want to, they don't want to see themselves on quote TV, and so they, like put someone else in front of the camera kind of thing. So they shy away from utilizing this aspect that we have.
Right.
By the way, I don't know if you noticed it, but Matt Weintraub was watching himself on TV. When you see his eyeballs go off to the right, he was.
I saw him doing that, yeah.
looking at the
Oh, I
screen.
did see that. I didn't know who, I thought he was looking at the cameraman. He was looking at how good looking he is. That's so funny.
There's some pretty funny things in there. Anyway,
Yeah, but Jen, yeah, I appreciate that. That might be, just those questions might be enough to help them. Because like what you're saying and what Art's saying is that we can't help them if they don't know how to help themselves, but maybe those probing questions will help them understand. And then you can guide it, can say, well, that's well and good, but are you guys manning all these things? Once they share whatever their idea is, or how's that going to work? You know what I mean? Before they go too far down the path. Because what I hate to see is them think they're creating something and then we can't use it. I need to sit on my hands. Sorry, I talk with my hands a lot.
That's also, when we did the bicentennial, there were people with different expertise and they jumped in with that expertise because it was a across the board kind of committee, not just a committee aimed at, it was aimed at one event, but we had people with lots of different backgrounds who were able to contribute that background to it, which is, so consequently the complexion of that committee was a little different than, TAB or a bike and hike or a dog park or what have you. So consequently, I mean, we had that working for us. But yeah, I think if we develop questions first, then we can help them out a little bit, but it would help them to focus their thoughts. So then we know what they're asking. If we don't know what they're asking, we don't know what to answer. And then we're all over the place. So yeah, I think
in a stalemate and nothing gets done.
Yeah, it's so. I think what was, what Janet proposed was the best opening on maybe helping them out.
Because I brag about you guys with all the talent, but then they don't know how to use it, and I don't want to. I'm not going to give it away because I'm not, it's not, the committee is to advise, but so that's sort of a great, having those questions would be really awesome, I think.
Yeah, I think that's the way. And then maybe they'll figure out, oh, maybe this was a good idea. Oh, maybe that wasn't a good idea. And, or maybe we can land someplace in the middle, but they have to tell us what they want.
Exactly.
It's not up for us to tell them what they want. So
I would say in the meantime, another angle to come at it would be from the Stephanie angle. What are the 12 or 10, or you pick the number, big things that you want to do this year and or want to communicate this year? And we can be thinking about that as long as we have a place to start.
Yeah,
public meetings are going to occur at a certain point. That means you have to have the video done by how many weeks before that? It's the kind of thing we could start to at least lay some things out based on what we know the calendar to be.
Yeah.
So I think that would be helpful. All right. Anything else on this topic? Verizon franchise negotiations, anything happening?
Nothing's happening. I'm still waiting on that, the last part of it, because we have a channel. I'm still waiting on that and haven't received that yet. And my guess is with COVID, COVID spiking and all over, and, they're probably a little behind. So, but I would expect that to be sometime in the new year.
And we think, or we don't think we're going to get a capital grant out of it.
If we're going to get a capital grant, I think we have things that we could do. Cameras or microphones and things like that. So if we can get a capital grant, I think we can let them know that we could certainly utilize a capital grant. If they give it to us, we'll use it.
Yeah, we'll find a way.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right. I don't think I have anything else on the agenda other than a sincere goodbye to my friend Kurt.
Yeah.
You sure you don't want to change your mind, Kurt?
Thanks. It's been really a lot of fun, a long time. So
been forever, it seems.
Yeah, it's been forever. Yeah, it has been forever.
Yeah, Kurt, you've just done an amazing job. I mean, I think you're one of the original members on the Telecommunication Advisory Board, and I don't think we'd be where we are today in terms of our government access channel without your help. And I just want to say thank you very much. You're going to be missed.
Same here.
You know,
Yeah,
without
it's been a
him,
lot
we
of fun.
burned the place down a long time ago.
Thank you so much, Kurt. We appreciate it, really do.
Thank you.
Have we gotten any applications for the committee, Stephanie?
We have one that the board did interview someone else previously when you interviewed Jenya. But I'm assuming that person is still interested, but they didn't resubmit and no one new has submitted anything. So you could always go back to that other person. So that way we'll fill a spot.
Okay.
She was
Sounds good.
interested at the time, I know that.
Yeah. Yeah. She was kind of interested looking in the room there waiting. So
We don't want to let Kurt totally off the hook, though. I mean, I do have a little project for you before you totally turn into dust. But we do have to get the Latronics memory stuff going.
Oh, okay. Yeah, anytime. Let me know.
I will talk to you about that. We're getting ready to run out of memory, so it's time to get on that. All right. Well, if no one has anything else for tonight, I would.
No.
We would motion to adjourn.
I make a motion.
Second.
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 All right.
Hey, have a good
Bye-bye,
night.
Kurt. Thank you.
bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Kirk. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.